Hello!
Welcome back to our channel.
My name is Trevor.
My name is Susu.
And today I have a challenge for you. So, you are quite good at English, but you've spent most of your time in the United States. So today we're going to take a trip overseas and see if you can identify these 10 international English accents.
Okay.
I've given you a list to choose from. You just need to match the accent to the country. And of course, feel free to play along while we're going.
Okay, let's get started.
All right. So the 10 accents are going to be American from the US, Canadian, Jamaican, Irish, English, Scottish, Indian, Singaporean, New Zealander, and Australian.
That's a lot of accent. I think I can probably get the UK accent. That's the only thing I'm confident of. But with all the other choices, I'm not sure if I can link them to the correct number, but we'll see.
We will. There are a couple of tricky ones. I anticipate Australia and New Zealand being a little difficult, and maybe the different UK ones a little difficult. One other thing, I've obviously changed the visuals, so you have nothing to go on visually. I've just put in some stock footage of whatever they're talking about. All right.
Let's get started.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. This is our first one.
Okay.
Many things. I think you have to buy the physical car, which is for a new car. I think like what $100,000. You have to get a COE, certificate of entitlement, and then that's excluding like road tax, insurance, petrol, maintenance. Yeah, all those things. I know one friend who got a car and then regretted it. So she sold it in the end.
Based on what I heard, I do get a little bit of Indian accent. But at the same time, I'm not familiar with other like Jamaica or Scotland. So I can't have this definite answer, but I will go with my instinct. I choose Indian.
Okay, so you can write in your answer next to the number 1.
Okay.
And of course we can change it if you hear anything that changes it.
This is our answer sheet.
All right.
Trevor got it for me.
All right. Are you ready for accent number 2?
Unveiling a Jurassic sea monster. This is the 2-metre-long skull of a pliosaur, one of the most fearsome predators the planet has ever seen.
So it's got big teeth, excellent for stabbing and killing its prey. It doesn't chew its food, it just breaks into bits and digests.
Throws it back to get in
and
the...
digests the bone and everything.
Steve Etches led the efforts to unearth and prepare this ancient aquatic beast.
I feel like that come from a news channel, right?
It was from a news channel. I can't tell you what news channel because that would give it away right away.
I think it's UK.
UK? But which country in the UK?
Oh, those 3 different regions have different accent?
They do, but okay. England you're going with?
Yeah, I guess we'll go with England for now.
All right. You can of course come back and change it.
Yep. Okay, moving on to the next.
Now, however, that has been repealed and has been changed, and as per the new laws, the truck drivers and owners who have been involved in serious fatal accidents and who do not report will have to face imprisonment of up to 10 years, which has been increased to 10 from the original 2. And definitely, they will also have to pay a fine of about 7 to 8 lakhs.
That's definitely India, so I need to change my first answer. But that sounds a little bit of like, not from Europe at least. That's what I'm sure of. Maybe Jamaica?
Alright, November 4.
Lots of blanks, but they'll sell eventually. All the blank shirts go through this pre-treat machine over here. That's called the cube. So shirts come out of the box and you pre-treat them and you roll the pre-treat on and then it dries and then it goes over to Tama at the shirt printer and then the print stays on. If you don't do this pre-treatment, it's not going to look good. Your shirts, you're going to wash it and the print will just come off.
I get very confused now. That one doesn't have a strong accent to me, but then there's bits that feel like it's a little bit from UK.
Might be a tough one, yeah.
I do remember when we were watching TV show before, Ireland and Scotland had a stronger accent. Because I always ask you, what's that accent? So they're definitely not coming from there. And Australian accent actually, for me, sounded a little bit like from UK. But this one is more subtle compared to the second on the list. Canada? We'll see.
Alright.
Okay.
We'll see. How are you feeling so far? Confident?
No. Oh wait, we also have USA as an option. Never mind, just keep going.
It was a wintry walk to school in Park Village, but they're a hardy breed in these parts.
Well, the mother says we had to go anyway. We hadn't much a choice in the matter, but sure.
It's a cold journey to school this morning.
Oh, God, you wouldn't be long getting frostbite.
It's nice to look at, but tough to live in, and there's no respite yet. Tonight, weather warnings remain in place right across the northwest. Garth Wilkinson, UTV Live.
Is that either Ireland or Scotland?
I can't answer that.
I'm choosing Scotland.
So how did that accent feel to you? I'm curious.
I don't know. I feel like it's also similar to India a little bit and maybe Australia. It's hard to distinguish given so many choices. Let's go next.
All right.
Hello friends, my name is JJ, and last week we had a lot of fun talking about caricature. Caricature, of course, being the uniquely 20th century art of making hyper-stylized portraits of people capable of capturing their likenesses in creative and unconventional ways. And one of the interesting things about caricature that I didn't fully get into last time, but we will today, is the subgenre of caricature.
That one just sounds like a standard USA accent. So I will just go with USA.
Sounds good.
Next one.
So we'll continue to talk to local government about how we can take this
This is
forward
definitely from
in a
UK.
constructive way.
We know that some councils have been talking about increases in the double figures of around 10%, but you're saying this will be on average of
I feel like this is the more
5%.
standard
So any
UK.
sort of kind of pushback from councils on this?
Well, I don't think it would have been fair, and I don't think councils would have accepted one local authority perhaps getting 3% and another getting 10%.
Oh, I'm actually changing my second one to Ireland and this one to England.
Right now in Iceland, a volcano is erupting. It is spewing hot lava, spouting toxic fumes into the sky. This started late last
Actually,
night.
this one should be
Southwestern
USA.
Peninsula.
It's almost like a meditative view. I love watching this. It's so relaxing, but it's also potentially very dangerous.
So confident she's going for it already.
Overnight pictures showing that orange glow created by the lava's flow.
You were really confident. You already wrote it during the beacon there.
Yeah, should be USA. This one, maybe Australia, the sixth one. I'm just keep changing because this is like 10 on the list, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, number 9.
All right.
This is a familiar sight on Dunedin beaches.
Sea lions are becoming part of the local culture and the local scene.
But it hasn't always been this way. For hundreds of years, no sea lions were born on the mainland, instead choosing to stay in the sub-Antarctic islands until Mum arrived. First tagged in the late 1980s, she came to Dunedin in the summer of 1993, giving birth to her first pup at Tairi Mouth.
What's your thought on that one?
They all sound similar. I'm choosing New Zealand for this one.
All right, sounds good.
Last one.
Last one.
Let's see if it's under my...
There has been another development in the ongoing legal battle between the Financial Services Commission, FSC, and the founding member of fraud-hit investment firm Stocks and Securities Limited, Hugh Croskery. The Supreme Court was told today that attorneys representing the FSC would be discontinuing entirely the claim against Mr. Croskery. Mr. Croskery, who had been named as a third defendant in the suit, had applied to the court to be removed from the case.
The last one definitely sounds a little Asian, like from an Asian country. I guess that's just gonna be Singapore.
Okay. Are there any that you would like to hear again before you lock in your final guesses?
Maybe the first two, because these are the first time I'm hearing it. So maybe like the first two.
All right.
Let's go. Wait, I feel like the first one should be from Singapore. Okay, let's see the second one. Actually, I don't think I have ever heard of a Jamaica accent, so I'm not sure. Is that from like South America?
Oh, Jamaica's in the Caribbean.
Oh, Caribbean. Okay. Yeah, I think that's my final answer. Okay, so this is my final answer key. Look how many edits I have done on this. Huh? So, my final result. Not sure what's your guess, but first is Singapore, second is Ireland, third is India, fourth is Canada, fifth is Scotland, sixth is Australia, seventh is England, eighth is USA, ninth is New Zealand, and the last one is Jamaica.
All right. So I will reveal to you the answers now, one by one. So number one was Singapore. You were correct. Well done.
Yeah, that sounds very Asian.
Now, the Singaporean accent, of course, is heavily influenced by the British accent, but also a lot of local languages, which gives it its signature Singaporean flair. I would say that the speakers in this video had a very clear, but very pronounced Singaporean accent.
I remember Singapore is one of the countries that has multiple languages, their national language, right?
They do, yeah. So not only do they speak English in Singapore, they also speak Malay, they speak a lot of Mandarin or other Chinese dialects, and then Hindi and other Indian dialects are also really common there.
Okay.
Number two was England.
England,
Yeah.
okay.
So you were right the first time.
Can you introduce a little bit about like the 3 different accents within that region?
Yes, so unfortunately, England itself is home to many, many different accents. So I picked a news broadcast because they would have a very standard accent based on RP, which stands for Received Pronunciation. And so that is the standard news broadcast accent in the UK. Number 3 was India. So I would say, for me, Indian English has a very particular rhythm, and there are some certain vowels that I always hear.
It just becomes so distinct because I remember there was a lot of professors back in college that come from India, and then you just know that they're from India, and it's like so signature.
So number 4 was Australia.
Okay.
So that's a clip from Aussie Man, who is a pretty famous Australian YouTuber.
So you do say like Australia accent is similar to US more or to UK more?
I would say it has more characteristics in common with the UK. The difficult ones to separate are the Australian accents and the New Zealand accents. They developed around the same time, and so there are some minor differences.
What are the differences?
For me, my biggest giveaway is always the ah sound. In Australian English, they form their ahs a lot more similar to in the US. Whereas for New Zealand English, it's a bit wider and a little bit further back, it feels like, in the mouth. That's how I differentiate, because even a lot of native speakers will have trouble differentiating the two if they're not used to them.
Okay.
Moving on to number 5. So number 5 was Ireland. This is another one that I thought would be a little bit difficult to keep separate, because Scottish and Irish are both influenced by Gaelics. They're different Gaelics, but they're both influenced by Gaelic, so it's a little bit difficult to differentiate them. But one of the key ways that I'll differentiate is the R sound.
Okay.
Because you'll hear when we get to the one that was Scottish, they have a very different way they do their R's, and it sounds very different from the standard like American R. But they are both rhotic accents, which means they have the R still in them, unlike a lot of English accents which have dropped to the R, and they're therefore non-rhotic. Number 6 is another one where you actually had the correct answer, but then you changed it. So this person was Canadian.
Canadian.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of Canadian accents are very similar to a lot of American accents, and even some characteristics of this person's Canadian accent in particular do exist in certain regions in the United States. So this one's a little bit more subtle. You'll notice that it did sound very much like an American accent. The one difference is they have Canadian rising phenomenon when they say their ow, so it'll sound like ooh instead of ow. He was talking about caricatures.
So number 7 must be Scotland?
It is, yes. Yeah, so number 7 is Scotland. I'm sorry you already answered, but you are absolutely 100% correct. This is Scottish. Now, one of the key characteristics of Scottish is the way they pronounce their R's. I remember there was a clip online that was very popular because the Scottish boyfriend couldn't pronounce the word burglary. Number 8, I didn't think I could fool you on this one. That's why I had to include Canada, but you were absolutely right. That is the USA. The US has some interesting characteristics to its standard English. It is a rhotic accent.
And you feel like it's more of like a flow. For me.
The rhythm is different from the UK or from specifically like Scotland and Ireland.
When I'm thinking about US accent, I feel like I think about like a Beijing accent where there's a lot of R. Yeah, in a way, just like you know, the weather, like not like when you UK, this sounds more fuller in their mouth.
Yeah, and I feel like the US is very like broad and open with a lot of our vowels and everything. We don't tend to keep anything very tight like this.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 9. Another dub. That is indeed a New Zealand accent.
Ah, this one, I have no clue, but I guess it's correct. So
You did.
So what's the difference between Australian and New Zealand accent?
So I'm really bad at imitating these, especially back to back, because they are so similar. But the big difference is in some of their vowels. If you have a better way of explaining it, please do in the comments. Although they are both non-rhotic, very heavily influenced by English from England. So they do get confused very frequently. And then the last one is indeed Jamaica. Yeah.
That sounds a little Asian to me, the accent.
Because it was settled by the UK, they get influence from both the UK, plus they have a lot of indigenous accents, then accents that were brought over because it was a big slave colony at the time. So a lot of the West Africans who were coming over also brought their own accents. So I have a question for you. If you were to learn English again and you had to pick a different accent from an American accent to learn, which one do you think you would want to learn?
I think I would definitely go for a UK accent. I think most people would choose that.
That's fair, that's fair.
Yeah.
Would you go for English or something a little more like Scottish?
I think I would just go for the English.
Okay, that's fair.
What about you?
I think I would want to go for an Irish accent. I feel like they're really fun.
I feel like it's okay to have an accent. I understand when you start learning a language, you are very strict with yourself with all like this accent or how the language flow, and I think that's the correct way. But in the long term, I think it's unavoidable to have an accent. For instance, I feel like I have an accent, but then it doesn't really affect how I communicate with other people, and at least it's understandable. Then you should be tolerant with yourself.
I think you are absolutely correct. An accent is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's
And-
like a birthmark.
It is, it is.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. This is just like a little quiz we'll enjoy to put together for each other.
Let us know if you want her to challenge me on something to do with Mandarin.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you very much for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.